Reading Guide from the Junior Classics, Volume 10, Part 1, Poems Old and New. Read for Librivox.org by Betty B. The Junior Classics Reading Guide, with lists of the best books for young people, by William Allen Nielsen, Ph.D., President Smith College, Northampton, Massachusetts, formerly Professor of English, Harvard University, Associate Editor of the Harvard Classics, Editor of The Tudor Shakespeare, The Chief Elizabethan Dramatists, The Types of English Literature, author of Essentials of Poetry, etc. Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. There are people who doubt the wisdom of permitting their children to hear or to read fairy tales. In their zeal for truth, they fear that these narratives of the impossible and the fantastic will accustom the young mind to falsehood, and cancel their efforts to train their boys and girls in habits of veracity. This attitude is due to two things chiefly: a verbal confusion and an ignoring of some familiar facts in the development of the human mind. For, in the first place, everybody knows that a fictitious tale that makes no pretense of being history is a quite different thing from a lie which implies the intent to deceive, and a very slight observation of children makes it clear that it is only sophisticated grown-up people who need to have the distinction pointed out. In the second place, the world of imagination is the natural habitation of the child. The inverted chair which serves in turn as steamship, pulpit, locomotive, or fortress is only a symbol of the triumphant mastery of mind over matter in the young, a mastery which is only too soon checked by the pressure of material fact in the modern world. As the boy grows to manhood, his preeminence among his fellows largely depends on the extent to which his imaginative powers have resisted and survived this attack. In the field of morals, it needs imagination to create that sympathy, that power of putting one's self in the other man's place, without which philanthropic effort is apt to be tactless, cold, and even injurious. In the fields of science and industry, imaginative range, the capacity to form clear visions of combinations and developments not yet realized, is the most precious of faculties. In the field of art, imagination is the mainspring, and everything else is merely contributory. Thus it is not dangerous, but only wise, during that period when the imagination is naturally most active, to feed and guide rather than suppress it. And these stories, gathered largely from the youth of the world, are among the most potent aids to this end. The Junior Classics begin appropriately with the tales of our own Indians. These represent that stage of civilization when as yet man did not distinguish different kinds of existence, and stones, clouds, trees, beasts, and men were thought of as all having the same kind of life, as all having souls, and so being capable of intercommunication, interchange of forms, and even intermarriage. This belief explains not only the names, but also many of the strange incidents of these mythological tales. Most of the Indian stories here given were gathered by Schoolcraft, the distinguished student of the American Indian and collector of their legends. It was from Schoolcraft that Longfellow derived his material for Hiawatha, and that poem may fitly be used as a sequel to these tales as the children grow older. Manabozho, who appears in the frontispiece of this volume, was the Algonquin Hiawatha. Of many of the tales from India, an explanation may again be found in a current belief. The teaching of the Buddha included the doctrine of transmigration of souls, and both the frequency of animal stories and the constant teaching of kindness to animals are due to this belief, a belief which becomes very vivid when one realizes that according to it, one's dog may have the soul of one's father. Most of the other stories belong to the great body of folk tales, derived from very various sources and ever traveling from district to district and people to people, sometimes springing up independently in surprisingly similar shapes, but in general full of the charm and entertainment of the genuinely popular tale. Some, however, are deliberately invented. Those of the Danish Hans Andersen, most successful of all moderns in the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?